Today, we get to begin our lovely episodes with the curiosity of the radical, self accepting people. So, when you are a 5D mystic and or empowered, mindfully aware, living and loving person who's being yourself, you might not choose to use the 5D word, but that's Christ consciousness, that's oneness consciousness. So, you can consider it bilateral integration and vertical. Okay, so you own yourself, the inner self and the relational self, okay? And you know how to be and want to be in a state of safety when you're having human contact. Okay, that's a 5D self-aware person and or mystic when you're seeing me use these words. And that's the group of people who are emotionally deep because they're also emotionally available. And that means they don't suppress and they're not afraid of feelings. They're also smart, stable, mature, adaptive, rational, teachable because they have bilateral integration, so they don't go chaotic or rigid. In fact, they're empowered people and mystics. And so we don't say Lucifer, Luciferian, demon, not demon, and you can't do that with spirituality or sciences. We don't. We get, again, curious. And so, wild thing, na 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 na, you make my heart sing. You mean everything. We're not visceral. We're empowered to be our own empowered feminine. So every one of you has a feminine. It's your body and heart. Remember it. So if you feel like, yuck, I don't want it because you're somebody who's a masculine, it's not gender specific. Remember the energetic imprint and look at it then in the absence of the word feminine and masculine, if that creates, and just know feminine, body and heart and gut. So when you have the somatic inner harmony of you, mind and body, and you know how to be internally securely attached with your 1-year-old, so all your child parts are asleep and you're using your higher self, you are now empowered with an empowered feminine, okay? And empowered masculine is a bilaterally integrated brain. So sometimes I'll say divine feminine, divine masculine, and this will be the masculine, the left mode. It's a chit-chatter, and the feminine is the right mode, and it's where all my emotions are mine, and I share them with you, not I hold them back. And fire. Relight my fire, you're my only desire. So we have the adolescent essence. That's the desire to have open-hearted, true relationship. That's when we're teenagers too. Our adolescent brain gets into the social system. So your first alloparenting group is your home. Then you move into your adolescent. Now, if you are mindfully aware and being yourself like I did with spirituality, Jesus, God, Holy Spirit, I maintained integrity. And that's the heart body, valley body, mental, emotional, physical body. So if you've heard of Purusha, that's pure consciousness, unconditional love, you maintain that, and you maintain pure energy, Prakriti, that's the whole 3-year-old heart. So you don't have an inner child that got broken, okay? What other people say about you doesn't matter. You're not ashamed and won't want to be ashamed of what you have done. And when you will have, because we all can, as children growing up, be ashamed, to the lesser, to the extent, the bigger degree, we know how to learn from it. So we're active. We don't stay in shame. Okay, so internally securely attached people see, soothe, safe, secure themselves. Being myself is easy. I'm my own safe haven. I know how to self-regulate in my state of safety, the ventral vagal state, and be socially engaged in that nervous system. So again, we're going to read. The passion is that no relationship will ever be a curse. In fact, all of our oversoul for a 5D mystic, embodied, enlightening, feminine, yeah. We always know, even when we don't know, that we're going to be expanding. So it's not a curse. We don't have to cut cords. We don't have to go through tragedy. We don't have to do any of it because we are the owl of ourselves. Because again, the wisdom comes from the heart. But it's an open heart, not a broken one. Envy, jealousy, spite, revenge, those are broken hearts. People who will have a type of way of wanting to get payback, like the squirrel from Cusco land, or Cusco in and of himself. So that's all adaptive child and maladaptive patterns of behavior for people who need therapy, not us. The circle of life, we know about that, which is a balance and lightning. Lightning strikes with the rattle of those of us who are the beloved of ourselves and the beloved of others, and that's why you are also the essence of that jaguar. So once again, an empowered, enlightening, an embodiment of the feminine energetic imprint, a body that knows how to be in its restorative embodiment, or a person who's choosing. Now we've got a renewal of the soul you are. If you don't want to do the soul thing, it's a whole self. You own your sense of self. So core, narrative, relational, solo self. You know you have an inner self experience, but you also have a relational self experience. And you're choosing to unlock generosity, to keep that heart open, and then to know that you don't need to have shields. You drop them, that divine love, or even without the divine, that your heart is healed and it can't be broken when something like a relationship doesn't go the way you planned. Okay, you got your third eye open. That's introspection. So you have the five senses, you have the sixth sense, or the sixth area of being able, no, five senses, sixth sense. So I'm thinking of Dr. Daniel Siegel. He gives us domains of integration. But beyond the five senses of how you feel, you also have interoception, and then there's perception. So there's like 8 sensory ways that you pick up on things. Okay, with that being said, vulnerability in relationships and love, the 5D mystic, spiritual self-help, mindful living and loving mentor and content creator has some words to share with you all. And again, the embodiment of the true feminine masculine, that we'll talk a little bit more, and also over soul stories. Here we get to just hone on in on self-aware, attuning and regulating people. They are 5D mystics and 5D mindfully aware, and again, attuning and regulating humans who are mindful, and their life partners, and the most romantic in relationships because they know how to have a good time. I love to love, and my baby, he loves to laugh, and he loves to live, and he loves to learn, and he loves to expand, and he loves to not cast stones, and he loves to dance to good music, not any of that. Yeah, no, none of that. And yeah, none of the humbug. The Zen master, for example, has humbug because he doesn't know how to experience a state of safety while exploring thoughts and emotions from his prefrontal. He still ruminates. So it's a skill, mindsight, mindfulness, and mindset that you put into practice with inner growth in the forefront, and that I get to share with you all. It's easy for a person like me. For those who it's not easy, they have therapy first, and then they choose if they want to do something like this. But in the meantime, those who lack vulnerability in relationships and love, that's because they're being a paused version of their self and distorted due to their lack of knowing how to self-attune and regulate to the state of safety. So social engagement, nervous system response, due to unresolved childhood trauma, trust breaks, and charges in living a life and relationships in modulated and dysregulated embodiments. So when you're choosing vulnerability in relationships and love, that means you first choose yourself. So to be yourself by healing your inner child and getting out of dysregulation. And that's with a good therapist, or you're really, really that self-aware, accountable, and regulating, because I believe in the power of anybody to return to their birthright, but you keep yourself in the, you know where you're headed and what the outcome is going to feel like. Okay, so you are, I'm going to use inner child dysregulation with good therapists, but obviously, again, I believe in any person being able to be their own good self-observer, aware, and bring their nervous system to self-regulate in a state of safety, because they will be able to hear the descriptions and know how to perceive it within themselves. So, when dealing with human connections and intimacy in relationships. Okay, so I'll repeat that. Again, you're choosing vulnerability in relationships and love when you choose being yourself by healing your inner child and getting out of dysregulation with a good therapist and into self-regulation, into a state of safety when dealing with human connections and intimacy in relationships. Once you're able to be you in a healthy, self-worth, functional, inner child adult pattern of behavior, that's what I'm going to use as words right now, aka internally securely attached, to give you a simplified version. Now you own your sense of self and you are self-empowered. And this means you're comfortable self-regulating in a state of safety and non-reactivity when choosing to be vulnerable in a relationship and take a chance in the realm of love and romance without fear or holding back. So while as a teenager, shot through the heart and you're to blame, you give love a bad name, I was all over that song. And my teenage boyfriend got me to have all the drama in the world. I'm not dramatic though, so it was a very good experience. And once I got to my second serious relationship, that was a great experience. And then I got a third serious relationship, and then I got my twin flames. And well, once you become a mystic, that's kind of like something whole different, a whole new world. Yeah, because of a lot of things. We'll talk again about oversoul in our next episode. But to stay grounded in reality doesn't mean anything that doesn't involve clear communication. So nothing changes just because somebody's a soulmate or a twin flame for a person who's an empowered, embodied, true feminine. And I say true because I know there's a lot of people out there who say who they are. They don't embody the empowered true feminine. They embody the distorted feminine, which is someone who will serve to support each other. Peter Pan's lost boys. Like the flat earthers, they're going to be a group. So they're going to have a good time. They're going to have romance, love. Sure, they're going to have all of it. They're going to say it's hard to keep a relationship. And they're going to feel that way. It's not here. Here's not hard. Here it's easy. I'm me, Eric. I have a tail. Not going to Ursula. I didn't fall for that bullshit. Also, why would I? You should like my voice just the way it is. And in fact, if you don't, let me think. You don't like me. I think we're not meant to be together at all because you just disowned a part of me. And I don't disown any part of Maria. Sorry. I welcome all of me, all of my flaws. There's no that is not none are disowned. So it's okay. Thank you. Bye-bye. See you later, alligator. That's how it works. Inside and out. I was rejected at 4, just so you all know, and I have a twin. They took her, boys took her around the block. I'm just saying, been determined to say, okay, because when I went home, my mom said, you're too serious. So, they just don't want to sit and have you read. You don't have fun or whatever it is. But yeah, I did want to sit them all down and read to them. I love learning. I didn't want to ride around the block. I wanted to sit and read. It's nice. And so, that's still exactly what I enjoy to do, by the way. I like to do a lot of things, but I like to learn above all and then share fun. I'm an online content creator. I'm an entrepreneur. My brain just is amazed by all that is sciences and spirituality. The spirituality comes from my own experience and then Sadhguru and what I got from my past and still what I get from my lovely tarot and oracle decks and more. But anyways, let's continue. Leading vulnerability, because you're probably curious, in relationships and love as your functional inner child, adult, and higher self means that you're self-aware without distortions or insecurities. This allows for intimate conversations with a significant other and or potential life partner to not be scary, because you know again how to contemplate, how to feel, but also how to share. So being yourself mindfully, spiritually means you love getting to share the person that you are, what you're all about, and also to share your heart and soul. And that's actually self for those of you who don't want the soul thing, right? And this is most amazing. You do this open-heartedly and without expectation. So it's not because I expect that you stick around. Obviously, we know of people who have a tough time processing when they're not welcomed. And that's why if it's that heartbreaking, you go to a good therapist and they help you with that. If it's easy for you to be in thoughts and emotions, meaning that you can take the self-aware attuning and regulating to heart and know how to have an inner growth mindset approach. This is the part of where you don't talk shit to yourself. You don't do inner critic. You don't talk shit about another outer critic. You don't do rumination. You do mindfulness and mindset skills in the moment of the inner growth mindset application, and you're at the level of the heart, open-hearted, at the level of the gut, open-gutted, open thought thinking, and you have a moment where you explore, and that's why you expand consciousness, and you don't lose yourself, and you don't lose hope or this idea that love doesn't exist. That's a bullshit statement. Love is always within you. And when you don't have a person who came, that's what can happen. I mean, I got grown up and I'm like, what the hell? Do people not know how to handle? And when you see people, it's hard. No, not really. Not for the ones of us who know who we are. I mean, gosh, it's not actually scary at all. So being yourself again, it means that you love to get to share who you are, and that's without expecting anything. And that's with your capacity to own those flaws. And with an integrated brain, it's down-regulated. That's because the default mode network, is down-regulated. You're not scanning yourself and other in moments of intimacy to say, am I going to get approved or not? That's what the therapists help the people who have instead had their first 8 years of life and their first 16 in areas where they were not able to see, soothe, safe, or secure their self and say, I'm, and use their name. For some of us, it's I'm Maria, and that's it. And I don't change. And so you can be nervous, you can be afraid, you can be upset, you can be all of it, but you won't hide the authentic self. And you won't think of, oh no, there's no more intimacy out there available because of one or two or three or four or even five emotionally unavailable men, women, or theys. As you cultivate the relationship, so what could become the relationship of your lifetime, you don't hold anything back. You're, again, not afraid of criticism, rejection, or abandonment. You're not concerned with that. You enjoy the intimate relationship. You are cultivating and know that time will tell you its outcome. No matter what, it'll all work out. And in the meantime, you're enjoying the genuine and authentic relationship you're building. So again, your focus is, wow, I'm having a great time. Okay, not thinking of doomsday or anything of they need to marry me because I fucked them or why didn't they text me back, they must be disgusted with me. No, we don't think anything like that, because if you're authentic, you are building an authentic relationship. So you're going to take what is being spoken to you and you're going to know, and you're going to take behavior with healthy self-worth. That's how it works. And so with your inner growth mindset, mindfulness, and mindset lifestyle practices, the unknown of where the relationship might or might not go doesn't bring you down or have you lose interest in the person. You know in your mind, heart, body, self that the relationship will recalibrate itself to what you and the other person will decide as you move along the connection you are cultivating again together. And I chose cultivating because it is cultivating. It's not building. There's not necessarily anything that you're building, because if you're authentic but they're not, like my facade friend and other facade friends, I'm authentic. I get to learn who they are in time, because they're going to switch it up on me, okay? So for those of you who hear, when I say mind, heart, body, self, there's a reason I'm using those 4 words at this point, because you are being yourself mindfully, spiritually. You own the self of you. And I've become aware of not everybody knows how to be their self because they don't own the self of them. Okay, so that's the part of why. And I use words Maria's way, and I gain information from a bunch of people I won't ever be able to thank and name all of them. But yes, I'm pseudoscience lady, and I'm woo-woo. It's just not crap self-help or personal development for the people who want to be mindfully living and loving again, and spiritually. Your state of bliss, flow, and capacity to welcome differences accompanies the relationship, because living and loving mindfully, spiritually as yourself with healthy self-worth and empowered means having no shame, fear, or mental concern of rejection or abandonment for being authentically you. As an empowered feminine with my twin flames, I'm not like, oh my God, what's going on in there playing? No. In time, I completely disengaged from all the narratives due to the fact of the narratives not being in any way, shape, or form representative of what an empowered, embodied feminine is knowing is going on. And there you have it. So when you hear the tragedy, that's for people who have no secure, attached 1-year-old. They need a therapist. They don't want it. That's okay. They don't have to. They can follow. And it's hard to bring forth vulnerability in a relationship. I was heartbroken. I have all these scars. I got to forgive. And I really just feel like, okay, that's, to me, indication. You want to keep going to therapy until you can actively handle emotions, because otherwise every relationship's going to be scary, and not just the ones that are romantic. When you go to work, when you face a stranger, when any and when I still get, of course, anytime I'm dealing with a new thing, my body will still get nervous. And I just do use stress instead of distress, because I know how to breathe. Thank you, panic attacks. So yeah, the panic attacks help you to learn how to be completely okay with shit that's uncomfortable in time, when you're empowered, not when you're like, nutshell lady, so you're saying I have to put up with it? No, actually, if you attune to yourself and regulating your social engagement, the state of safety, you'll get out of that. Eventually your amygdala will learn it's okay, I'm not physically dying, and it'll eventually forget, and you know, so it's fun. You get to be yourself, know yourself, welcome yourself on the mental, emotional, and physical mastery plane, which is not controlling, which is why the fancy lady doesn't know what she's talking about. And let's leave the fancy lady alone because I'm almost done and we can move on to our next episode. You know, love is easy, and no matter what, you can go with the flow, stay open-hearted, and pursue inner growth, because unknowns, unexpecteds, and unwanteds of life aren't punishments, scary, or the end of the world when you're internally securely attached and unconditionally love yourself and others. You don't have to believe in God here at IHP. You don't have to believe in Akash universe. You don't have to believe in a mystic or mysticism or anything. I am that, though. And I bring on purpose science and spirituality together because dark matter, dark energy, and the fact that you will know how easy love is from inside of you, it's because you know how to own this 0 1 year old that I'm talking and going to continue repeating myself about, even if I'm the pseudoscience lady, because I know exactly who can get you there. And then I know the ones that I don't want to do personal and self-help. It's bullshit. No, it's not. It's just you don't have to learn how to use your state of ease. You don't have to learn how to use two sides of your brain. You can continue doing what the fancy lady man in suit do. I mean, I don't find it anywhere interesting, but that's for them. When somebody thinks that life wants to punish you, that's sad. Nobody needs to think of punishment. When someone wants to use Lucifer and demons and say, yeah, and sin, yeah, you don't know what you're talking about, because you don't know about, one, the foundation of every human being. And so determined, come on in. You don't know, do we have a traumatized person or not? What do we have going on? Are we playing out the karma wheel of whatever? So when you understand that behavior, maladaptive, and the adaptive child are human beings who play out their unconscious on a roll. It's not actually interesting for me to know that 7 to 14 charming are handing out to people a way to be consistently in their trauma. But those people don't want to get the scary, scary, scary emotional body online, because they are actively in a threat and life threat from their first 3 years of life. Upon it all to believe is a bullshit statement to the first 3 years of your life. And anytime I hear it, I leave it alone, because I ain't nobody's therapist, and I ain't your mama, and I ain't your papa. And the reality is, I'm not interested in speaking to human beings who don't understand that science shows that you have implicit memory that carries from your first 3 years of life. You don't care about yourself. It's not because I need to tell you who to be. You don't care about your own self. And it's actually quite sad to see an avoidant get on screen, going to therapy. She's doing a good job. I don't want to pay you, but I also don't want to do the exercises you told me would help me, because people are fucked up. It's sad. It's not making me mad. It's sad because I'm thinking you're suffering for no other reason except from lame ass fucking sentence that comes out of your mouth for what? Some lame ass movie you watched? No. I've met teenagers. They're all their teenage version. Unimpressed is what an empowered, enlightened feminine will be of any one of those who are masculines without an empowered, enlightened feminine of their own, and a distorted feminine who also doesn't notice their 16-year-old on a roll. But that's the part of where, as Robert Sapolsky will point out, determined, and as Peter Levine, Dr. Daniel Fox, and Siegel, and all of them, you lack the self-awareness. Dr. Daniel Fox, come on in, to notice that you got some fucking mustard on your face, and you're going to want to be in your unhealthy self-soothing mechanisms that are maladaptive, the fucking, the drinking, the drugging, the inner and outer critic, and all of that lame ass shit. And I see it. And then you know what I also see as a mystic? Twisting of words from guidance that comes for real, not the ones that I know are out there for the ones who want that. No. The active information. It's time to move on. You're done here. This is done. You're done. And when that has happened, this in my lovely love circle, not my lovers, no, my love circle of oversoul members, they now know what I'm going to say. Anytime they bring to me some shit about their relationship, it's going to be, okay, I think we have an emotionally unavailable person. Do you really think you're using your time wisely? Because they're not going to be changing anywhere unless they go to therapy. How about you? Do you think you want to move on to something better? I think that might be advisable, right? Don't you think? Yeah? No? Maybe not? Okay, then. You know, I tried, and there you go, because love is easy. It's not hard. The only ones who don't realize it are the ones who are too in love with their stories of superheroes, supervillains, and guess what? Their pseudo-live visceral gut, which is leading on a low frequency. Tom and Jerry, Pinocchio on the Island, Mean Girls, any of those movies that are really ridiculous, Hangover. They're all people who could use Terry Real to learn to love themselves first and then be in healthy man-woman-they relationships, polyamory, monoamory, or go to Patrick Sheehan. He can help too, so that you stop being in any of the bullshit stuff that doesn't need you and you don't need them. So wasting time is what people do who don't take note. I'm not self-aware to the point of being accountable and regulating in my having a good time in a relationship. So when a relationship, intimacy is hard, and or relationships, but intimacy is the one that is that quote unquote test of faith, which not really. remember a girl that came to me for consult. That's because, as always, again, mystics, my 5D mystic man friend, as he knows, and as any masculine will know, we won't say no because we know what we're here to support. And obviously, the masculines also have their own. That's for again our next episode, but not special, just different. Okay, different ends of a spectrum. I can speak to you as an embodied, empowered feminine, and I can give you my subjective visibility of embodied, empowered masculines. And I have to pause though to give you that one because again, I'm not a masculine, although I have my own masculine. The individual who came, they came because of knowing who I am and what I do and stuff like that. And I tend to allow them to know I don't do for this, I do for personal development. Of course, if relationships are something that are on the menu, we'll involve it. But my goal is to have you be yourself and live a life of meaning for yourself and empowering, and then of course of connecting. But long story short, as they're introducing to me this topic, this person, they said I told him that I will give him 80%, 70-80% of my trust, but the 20 I'm keeping it for myself. I said, what? I said, why'd you tell him? I mean, the minute you told him, obviously he's thinking, what is this? But also, why are you in a relationship in the first place if you don't trust him? You know, that's like, and here's where a non-securely attached person will have self-fulfilling prophecies happen rigorously, and there's your karma wheel. And the therapist can heal all of it. And so this human being refused, as their partner had presented therapy, refused it, although they didn't present it in the way of actually wanting good therapy. No, they presented it in a way of you're the problem and you should go. They were going already, and nobody's a problem. So right here is where therapy is good for people who do not know how to feel good about being their self and then being able to be in a relationship, especially romantic, and be rejected. If you suffer it, you want to get help to learn how not to. Then if you want, this is why mindfulness mindset works for people who want to do more, and that's really amazing. So again, for me, but some of you, I want life now. Okay, so you love to love, you love to laugh, live, and learn with people and mystics and welcome differences when, on the other hand, you're open to vulnerability in relationships and love with an internally securely attached 0-1-year-old and or child parts, and or even if you are not completely in this comfort space, you know, yes, I want this. I want self-empowerment. I want to be myself mindfully, spiritually. I want more. I feel this is my way of being in relationship, which is amazing. I mean, there's no way in hell that an empowered, enlightened feminine, I can tell you again, will say no to love. I'm a restorative embodiment. I'm not afraid of loving, but I will know that there's so many people, they don't know love. And that's what I also will have to share with you all. So we're going to wait for our next episode for some stories. Again, you love to love, live, laugh, and learn with people and mystics, and you welcome differences, so do they. So no casting of stones, characterological distinctions, or judgments. If things don't pan out to romantic intimacy long term, the relationship reformulates to one that fits the two people or more involved, again, depending on if we have a monoamory or polyamory couple. It is a love-love outcome when you have empowered and authentic people being vulnerable in a relationship and love. So let me count the ways that I love thee in a secure attachment, functional, inner child adult way. Being you, mindful, with flaws and integrity is what we're all about here at HP. So healthy adult relationships and news stories that heal trauma for those who want it, obviously. Those who don't want to heal their trauma, they are not going to be in our vicinity, because choosing to live in love by being yourself mindfully, spiritually, with healthy self-worth, empowered and open to enlightenment, and enlightening means that you are wanting to be able to be true to who you are as you listen to your inner child from your prefrontal cortex as your higher self-adult. You want this. You want to live in love deeply as an adult who witnesses, processes, and lets go of mental concepts and emotional charges and any triggers that take place. You don't want to project them. You want to be able to be in the present moment with past childhood memories, sensations, images, or life events by having bilateral and vertical integration, love as your emotional guide, and no more self-doubt, No more shame, no more broken, distorted self-negative thoughts and or feelings about yourself or others, because that's where it's also about the external. You want to be able to be at peace with having your own flaws and imperfections like anybody else too, and that's in your heart and eyes and their heart and eyes. So we have flaws and imperfections because we can consider each other flawed and imperfect. Although if you're empowered, you won't really consider them bad or good. You'll just know we're different. But we can use those words because, again, others will be able to perceive that. For you, if you have any of it at the part of the heart, you process that and you don't reject or abandon somebody because they have flaws or imperfections. You talk to them. So you accept that if somebody in their eyes and hearts sees you as flawed and perfect and rejects you, you're like, I'm at peace with it. So you're at peace with differences in a number of ways. And also that's why we don't have less people in our oversoul. So spiritually awakened people don't lose people, because that's a sentence for those who are thinking in ways of teenagers that have a non-securely attached inner world. So we choose and want to be able to be, again, non-reactive and in your state of safety, social engagement, and nervous system while being in situations when you're getting rejected for being your authentic self. You don't change who you are. You're not going to be like, oh no, let me now take their side. You lead your relationships with healthy self-worth and no shame, blame, fault, revenge, envy, insecurities, doubts, or fear of being yourself again, with flaws and imperfections and integrity. Which is also why you don't say, ha ha, they got their karma back. I can't wait to get this thing going so that I can, ha. And that's how somebody will feel when they will have noticed that they got undervalued. Undervalued means underappreciated, right? When you've been treated like a little piece of shit, which we all can know about. But anybody who has integrity isn't going to harbor that and wait for a payback moment. That's for the people who have a visceral leading them, which is a 16-year-old, which is a threat response. So they don't make a processing of the emotion that arises mentally and with the inner growth, neutrality and duality. They hold on to it and then they share it with the visceral, and they do venting still, and or they gossip, and or they do it in ways that are of a smaller energy, because we all can be considered gossipers. Okay, so again, the words aren't the big thing. It's, yes, words, but it's the feeling beneath the surface, and the feeling is based on, are you in your state of safety, social engagement, ventral vagal state, or are you in the state of threat, which is your modulated embodiment with a dysregulated nervous system that is basically in a reptilian response for no other reason except for you don't know how to be a grown-up of yourself in the higher self yet. So you do not have a bilaterally integrated and vertically integrated and all integrated brain. Not yet. When you do, you won't be the Zen master as laundry. You'll be a person who, again, can say, in my heart, of course I can feel underappreciated, undervalued. I'm going to process this. It'll take my time. I'm not urgent. It won't be by payback. Actually, it will not be in any way, shape, or form in that. You know what happens to people who have integrity when they know that someone that they love is basically getting their karma? And I do this because I prefer doing it. But they're actually, you know, what you reap, you sow and all that. Yes, a person who knows God, Jesus, Holy Spirit, and is a mystic can tell you this is not going to be a happy, fun day. It will be a sad, extremely sad day, and more than just that. And it will be also where you will not in any way, shape, or form smile or think that that's amazing. It's only if you're still a small kid in a way of being basically, you know, teenager is how I could put it, but even that, you wouldn't. If you know God, Jesus, Holy Spirit, you would not ever do the I want payback. You'll know, you know what? I'm so upset right now. I'm going to put it to the side. I'll come back to it when I'm ready. That's how a person who has integrity works with anger that is wanting to be processed due to having been treated in ways. Now remember though, determined please, because I have a 4'9" body. That's the one thing that determined keeps coming up, like the PDP framework and IPNB framework from Dr. Daniel Siegel, and integrated brain and restorative embodiment, because I know why my body will lead me to process things while others might be inclined to allow themselves to act with that. I don't act with anger because I don't stand a chance. So reactivity is not my safety physically, and physical is my primary importance. So my body will pull. I can call it God. I can call it my body. This is the exact why, again, consciousness, Akash, grace, the amazing journey of a relational field or a field of consciousness. It's all love and life. And we get to share it in our human form. So again, embodying unconditional love, that's what you also want to be able to do. You want to live life in relationships with awe and splendor, and you want to be able to be in a mental and emotional state of equanimity and neutrality and duality. You want to be able to consistently expand consciousness, and in doing so, expand being yourself from the heart and mind and body and self of you as the essence of love and life you came here to be and share with us. And we're honored to have you here. And we're here for those who might one day change their mind about being able to be in their safety, the social engagement system. So being yourself again, mindfully and spiritually, is knowing in your mind, heart, body, and self that you are wanted just the way you are, that you can speak what you think and feel, but that not all will welcome you or want you as you are. And that not all will as well hear what you have to say as meaningful, valuable, or important, or good. And that when this happens, you are non-reactive because you are self-empowered and equanimous. And so leading with compassion, being yourself with flaws, having integrity, that's all there. And you acknowledge that rejection happens and that sometimes differences and different people, they don't come together. And that's romantically or non-romantically. That's why the relationships recalibrate. They don't end. We don't end anything by cutting. And when you have no growth, this actually happens very much not. Healthy, secure attachment, woman or man ain't thinking of that. We build secure connections. So we're not like, oh my God, because we don't talk. And now it's not. So we have platonic relationships. We have romantic. We have, especially for our polyamory crew. And again, even for monoamory crew, they will have platonic and secure connections and relationships. We'll keep talking about this. So if you want, tune back in for more. And in the meantime, thanks for stopping by. Like, share, and subscribe. And if you do know people who want to put into practice being their self with mindset and mindfulness and mindsight, send them over for when our tiers are available. In the meantime, also for stories, of course, and these food for thought, channeled guidance, and examples and funniness and songs. So I love to love, and my baby, he loves to dance, and he loves to love, and he loves to live, and he loves to learn, and he loves to expand and not cast stones, and he loves to catch a falling star and put it in your pocket, never let it fade away. And that's where we're going to move on to our next episode. So thanks again.